The DCU Multiverse already exists, and James Gunn has confirmed that over 100 multiverses are already existing within the DCU, and this will actually be directly tackled in something that I assume not many people are going to watch compared to Superman. Peacemaker. Peacemaker is going to tackle multiverses and what's going on. So when it comes to the events of Superman, we recently learned that the events of Peacemaker will be set around 30 days after the events of Superman. They specifically said 30 days to a month, so I don't think the actual day or time really matters. It's just about a month after the events of Superman. And this, of course, was confirmed by James Gunn while talking about how does the story of Rick Flag and Peacemaker appearing in Superman affect Peacemaker's whole story and rollout and the effects of creature commandos on Superman and vice versa. He just says it's about a month after, and that this was very important to him to make sure that this is a sequel that follows up so we understand the story, but to also address the events of Peacemaker Season 1. Now, of course, Peacemaker Season 1 was set in the DCEU. This, of course, was Zack Snyder's Snyderverse, as it's known now, and that universe still factors into this continuity. We know largely most of Peacemaker Season 1 is canon. We know that the events of the Suicide Squad are canon, and we know that Peacemaker is going to tackle how they take the character over from the DCEU, bring them into the DCU. That's going to be addressed point blank. They stated that and confirmed it. So now we're going to jump on into what he said specifically about Peacemaker and how he's jumping through parallel dimensions. So once again, this comes at us from James Gunn, who of course was talking about the idea of parallel dimensions and what they're going to do with Peacemaker. And he revealed a crucial piece of info, I would say, and that's that Peacemaker, from the universe he's in, discovers this existence of parallel dimensions, multiverses, and all that. And that he discovers that in the universe that he sees, aka I assume the DCU, that the Peacemaker from the DCEU realizes that he wants to be more of a hero, just like the Peacemaker in this parallel universe. And that's why he wants to go to this universe, because he realizes he's just seen as sort of a piece of garbage and a villain here, and he's had an arc that makes him more heroic. He wants to make an actual difference. He wants to go help out the heroes and hopefully find a better life for himself. Now, I think that this is honestly a great character arc moment and a great evolution of the story, his character, where they're going, what they're doing with Peacemaker, and looking at the character's trajectory from when he first appeared in The Suicide Squad to what he's going to be doing in Peacemaker. I mean, Peacemaker Season 2, obviously. You can tell that James Gunn has an interesting way of tackling this whole idea of the multiverse and the dimensions. Which then brings me to the next point here, where they confirmed that well over 100 multiverses already exist in the DCU. So here's why this is important, at least in my mind. Because this allows them, and as we see in Peacemaker, he's looking through these like weird doors and gateways and pathways and so much more. It allows them to essentially use those gateways and whatever they are to their advantage by having what is loose canon. And this is a way that you can bring the DCEU continuity in without having to worry too much, because you just established that some of these universes are very close to ours. So, Season 1 of Peacemaker is a slight deviation. The character largely has the same exact life. Everything happens the same. But the one in the DCU just slightly has things happen differently because of, hey, the nature of his character. The Justice League can't appear at the end of his arc, because why would they? At the same time, the one in the DCEU had it. So when you bring him over, he knows about the existence of the DCEU, and other multiverses through those doors and chambers into other realities. This also then allows James Gunn to be able to pull whatever he wants in as a loose cannon, right? It opens them up to the possibility of reaching through any door and taking anything. Which makes me think that maybe, just maybe, this could be how you work in Pattinson. Okay, so work with me here. Because again, we're in fan speculation. We're in the old pre-grifter YouTube where it was fun to speculate and people wouldn't jump down your throat and try to cancel you for coming up with a theory. Because now that's only allowed if you're a scooper, right? Only you can toss out outlandish claims. So we're going back to 2014, 2015 prime, and I mean prime theorizing. So what if they're holding off, and as James Gunn recently said, they're trying to find an interesting way to bring Batman into their universe. And then he also stated that the status of Robert Pattinson's Batman is always in flux. It could happen. It can't happen. They don't know. It changes. They've discussed it, and then they confirm it's not going to happen, but then they discuss it again. What if this type of scenario is the exact gateway to how they do it? And what if they just use Robert Pattinson's Batman as a loose cannon? What if he's through one of these gateways and doors into the other dimensions and multiverses? You essentially establish that, yeah, that character exists. The events of Penguin and Batman did happen in this universe, but you don't have to address them again. You don't have to look back. You just bring Pattinson's Batman in and you pretend like it was always there. If something changes, like you say, oh yeah, when Bruce was a little child, he had a action figure, his favorite action figure, right? What was it? Oh, it was Jay Garrick the Flash, because he always loved the Flash. Well, that just adds context to the Batman telling us, oh, when Bruce was little, he had a Jay Garrick figure, right? We didn't have to see it in Batman, but it's addressed. Essentially, they're tackling then Batman's future, how they tackled Captain Marvel and Captain America, the First Avenger, and other elements of prequels by retroactively adding them. And you just use this way by saying, yeah, that's the loose cannon, just like Peacemaker. And you kind of move with it. And Peacemaker jumps over, but Pattinson's Batman doesn't necessarily have to. He just kind of stays there. It's the same Batman, just a couple things are different. The same exact events played out. Okay, why didn't we see Superman during the events of Batman? Well, that's a good question, right? That is a very good question, because Superman wasn't here yet. He's only been active and exposed himself to the world 3 years ago. Batman is 4.5, 5 years ago. Done. It's so simple that it honestly doesn't take a genius, and I think that these pathways and other dimensional doors might be the key to how they canonize whatever they want when they see fit, which only makes me want to beg James Gunn to canonize Doom Patrol. Thank you for checking out that video, and thank you for your continued support. Feel free to like, share, subscribe, do whatever you will, and if you're so inclined and would like some additional content from us, which includes unfiltered content and bonus discussions, we do offer exclusively in our member section. We hope to see you there. So thank you for watching, and have a good one.